another edition of Face-2-Face. This is Bill Apter. And you know, we got such a great reaction on one of our recent segments when I went face-to-face in person, though. It wasn't on this format with George Napolitano, one of the great wrestling photographers. And he authored, I think it was his 13th book. So we decided, why don't we start bringing some wrestling book authors on? Of course, we do the Wrestle Crap segment with R.D. Reynolds. He's had the Wrestle Crap books, or book, well, more to come on that. But one of my favorite books in the entire universe, I am such a fan and such a collector. One of my favorite books is this. The Story of Dean Martin and... Oh, no, that's the wrong book. Wait a minute. Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis. Hang on. Wrong book. One of my favorite books, and I'm very proud to own an autographed copy, this is the cover of the original Wrestling Encyclopedia, the WWE Wrestling Encyclopedia. And to take on a task like that, people say, hey, Apter, how come you didn't do it? I couldn't have done it. There were two guys out there who were able to do that, along with the publishing company, of course. One of them was Kevin Sullivan, and we'll talk about him in a moment. And the other one is right here, well, actually face-to-face, Brian Shields. Welcome.
Mr. Bill Apter, as they always say on TV. Great to be here. Thank you.
Well, they do say that on TV. What should we say on the internet? Maybe we should coin something else.
I'll think of something by the end of our chat.
And we'll get back to it. Nice to face-to-face. We could do it that way.
Absolutely.
We could do it that way. Well, you've got an announcement that you're going to make here, but what I want to do before the big announcement is kind of a shorthand version of who you are in the wrestling business for the people who don't know, because I know you way back, and he's not that old, folks, but I know you, from a different part of the business. So why don't you give a kind of a shorthand bio?
Absolutely. Shorthand bio. And the way that we first met was when I was a kid in Rockville Center and you worked for Pro Wrestling Illustrated. I used to accost you on the streets during your lunch hour.
Yes.
And ask you things like, will Hulk Hogan and Andre the Giant ever be friends again? Why did the Road Warriors do that to Dusty Rhodes? Things along those lines. I started out in the video game business doing sports.
Well, wait, just back up. Brian was not a stalker.
Right. Thank you. Yeah, I was not
a wrestling fan, and I did I answer your questions at least?
You always answered my questions, and you were always very nice to me. I was not a stalker. I grew up in Rockville Center as a kid.
And that's where the magazines, for you people who don't know, that's where the magazines were originally based out of.
And a pizzeria in Rockville Center called Maselli's Pizza, which is still there, was a popular place among PWI staff members.
And not because the last name Maselli has anything to do with Medusa Maselli.
Correct.
Not at all. Okay.
Correct. So once I got into the quote-unquote real world, I was doing sports marketing at the video game company Acclaim Entertainment. They were the first company to have the WWE then F video game license.
Yes.
And that's actually through our good friend Mike Archer. That's how you and I met in a different way professionally.
Hey, wait a minute. We got to say hello to Mike. He works up at WWE now. So, hey, Mike.
Always a big hello to Mike Archer up at WWE. And then from there, I worked with WWE in 2004 and 5 with Mike and Jim Ross to launch their WWE Legends program, which is what a lot of people saw with the Hall of Fame and legendary personalities, action figures, DVDs, books, things along those lines, seeing them in the video games. And around that time is when I started doing a little bit of writing for WWE, as far as when the superstars and divas would go on the road and be introduced. Thankfully, that was well received, and I've now written 4 books for WWE. The first one was in 2006.
What book was that?
That was through Simon & Schuster, Main Event, WWE in the Raging 80s.
Right.
And then the very nice intro that you gave myself and Kevin Sullivan, the Encyclopedia, was after that in 2009. And then I did 2 DK Readers books, for people that were just learning how to read on Triple H and John
That's
Cena.
great.
And then, in the spirit of segues, the fifth one will be.
Well, we're not ready for the. We'll have the drum roll in a minute. Well, go ahead. You might as well. Drum roll.
Excellent, thank you. On September 9th, the or September 3rd. September 3rd,
Well, in September
in September, the second
2012.
2012, the second edition of the WWE Encyclopedia will be out and
Yeah.
available for every fan to check out. And thankfully, I was able to once again work with WWE, work with Kevin Sullivan, and work with DK Publishing
All right,
on
let's
this
stop
incredible
right
book.
there. Let's stop
Yeah.
right there. Two questions that people always ask me regarding the WWE Encyclopedia.
Yes.
Kevin Sullivan, the man who was the maniacal wrestler, is a writer?
I get that same question. People ask me if I was in brainstorm sessions with him in the Purple Haze or the Varsity Club.
Yeah, yeah.
It is not that Kevin Sullivan.
Okay,
My
I knew that.
writing partner and friend Kevin Sullivan, which you could follow him on Twitter at Sullivan Books. He was a longtime WWE employee. He helped launch the WWE website way back in the late 90s.
Wow.
He is a fantastic writer. He also wrote last year's history on the WWE Heavyweight Championship.
Right, right. So it's
Um,
not the same Kevin Sullivan, ladies and
Short
gentlemen.
answer, not the Taskmaster.
Right, exactly, exactly. Now, the other question I always get, and I know the answer, but would you please tell the people here what the ruling is as to who goes in and who's not in the encyclopedia? Because I have so many people that come up to me with the encyclopedia to sign it, and I say, "Where do you want me to sign it?" And they say, "Well, you're not in here." So I'm not in here, in there, or in the second edition, although I've done some work for the WWE in the past. Tell them why I'm not in there and why some of the other people that they may be fans of and follow are not in there.
That is a great question. It is a question that I get often, not only about who goes in, but I also get questions specifically about why Bill Apter is not in the encyclopedia.
I'm very flattered about that.
Um,
Thank you.
just to let you know, Bill, Kevin and I, we're trying to get you in. I promise.
No, I know. I'm just looking for what can you tell the fans about what is the
Absolutely, absolutely.
prerequisite to get someone in there?
The requisite is to have had an on-air career in the WWE,
That's it.
or 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 be a member of the WWE Hall of Fame.
Got it. Okay.
Because there are some members of the Hall of Fame that may have gotten in the first book with an entry, but they were not necessarily like an on-air personality. And when I say on-air, I mean the WWE programming that is shown every week or on pay-per-view in the WWE universe as far as their ongoing storylines
Sure, totally understood. So fans,
like
that's
that.
why there's a lot of people in there who you say, "Oh, come on, why?" And that's, But I love when these fans come over to me at conventions and ask me to sign the encyclopedia. Glad to do it. So Brian, so you said September 2012. One of the questions also that I want to ask you is I remember when I was working at PWI, and the entire editorial staff would sit around and try to rank the PWI 500, which is a story all to its own. And by the way,
Oh yeah.
just to let people know, I was not the guy who did the PWI 500. It was a collaborative effort. I was not. We sat in a room. We had practically battle royals there. Maybe one day I can get one of the editors of PWI on here. We had Craig Peters on another segment, but to discuss. But that's for another time. So, what is it? the research and everything that you and Kevin Sullivan do and making up the lists and all that.
Yeah.
How many are they going to be? A lot of the same people that were in the first edition and the second edition as well?
Yes. The the second edition will include um, a large majority of the superstars, divas, and legends that we enjoyed in the first edition.
Yes.
And there will be updates to those entries where applicable.
Great.
So, for instance, um, the entries on Bruno Sammartino or Antonina Rocca or Andre the Giant, there are no, or even for that matter, like maybe like a Hulk Hogan, there aren't real updates there because the book is also within the realm of WWE.
Okay, now can we
But
go ahead.
Oh, thank you. But for superstars, legends, and divas, where things have happened within the WWE from the release of the first encyclopedia, there are updates.
Okay.
So as an example, and just because these are two that I worked on, Shawn Michaels, The Undertaker.
Oh, of course they have to be updated.
Right.
Of
So
course.
that's just to give people a quick, easy example of how that's going to work. But the other thing, Bill, is that the encyclopedia is going to have a slew of brand new entries, or they're going to see entries people like maybe a Jack Swagger or a Vicky Guerrero.
Hey, did Ryback make the cut this time?
That's a good question. I'm not sure.
Okay, just
Um,
curious.
but the thing is that
There's a reason I asked, by the way, and we'll discuss that again on another segment. But
Oh,
go ahead.
I look forward to that because he's been just tearing through people in the ring.
Yeah, yeah.
But so like Vicky Guerrero and Jack Swagger, they were in the first edition. Also like CM Punk, The Miz, in the first edition. But because at the time their WWE careers were just starting out, the entries were not as large.
Oh, of course, of course. It's logical. You have to
So,
update it.
so there are updates in that regard, and then there are brand new entries like Adolph Ziggler, for instance. Somebody like that, where people are really going to see. I mean, this is a
Okay.
brand new book in that regard.
All right. All right. Now, we're running a little. We're running a little. Well, we're running out of time. That's what I'm trying to say. So I
Okay.
wanted, before we go, I know you have some other things that you wanted to discuss about the gaming world.
Well, thank you, Bill. Yes, there's a company called Game On. They're on Twitter at GameOn_games. And for the last few years, they have been making fantastic WWE licensed video game accessories. Now, when I say that, it means wireless PlayStation 3 controllers. Right now, the white hot seller is the wireless PS3 controller of The Rock.
Oh,
The
wow.
first time ever that The Rock has had his own PlayStation 3 controller.
Does it smell?
Uh, no,
Oh,
but
see, you got to add odor to it so you can smell what the rock is playing.
and we're hoping that that can be for the next one. There could be some sort of an odor element to it.
I
Uh,
like that. Now, how are you involved with this part?
I'm involved with Game On, basically from a marketing standpoint. So, kind of,
Okay.
going back to my marketing management days from Acclaim, working with them and WWE on creating new products and then marketing those products. And I will let you know also,
Yeah.
Bill, that we're going to be making an announcement soon with our friends at THQ, who makes the WWE video games.
Well, here's what I'd like to do. I would like to do a second segment with you somewhere in the next month or two,
I'd love it.
strictly about wrestling video games. I think that
Yes.
would be incredible from the beginning to current.
Absolutely. And what I'd like to do also is I'll make sure that the Game On group sends you the best of their best stuff so that you can actually have in your hands the great products that they make.
Oh, that would be absolutely fantastic.
Yes, it
See,
will happen.
everybody, this is how I get games. No, just kidding. Brian Shields, want to thank you so much. And by the way, Just real quickly, depending upon when people are watching this, the 1,000th episode of Raw. I know you were there at the very beginning of Raw. You were a fan at the
Oh
beginning
yeah.
of Raw, etc. And if somebody could say to you your one memory of something that you saw on Raw or something you want to say about Raw, what would that be?
Uh, I think for me, as a fan at that time, I was 15 years old,
Yeah.
and had many, many years of watching WWE television. For me, it was that first episode from the Manhattan Center, because I never saw a WWE program in that kind of format, in that way. And that's when I knew, even as a 15-year-old, that WWE television just changed.
Thank you. Brian Shields with Bill Apter here on Face to Face. And again, we want to invite you back because I think we could have a great discussion on the gaming end.
Bill, it's always great talking to you and your fans. Thank you so much. And as far as coming back, just let me know anytime.
We'll do. We'll see you at the gaming places
Yes.
and at the bookstores and on Amazon and everywhere else where you can get the second edition of the WWE Encyclopedia, due out September 2012.
Thank you, Bill.